This morning I'm going to be taking the jack pads off my Lippert jacks, straightening them because they're bent as heck from sinking into mud, adding a 12 by 12 quarter-inch steel plate to the bottom of them, maybe some wood. To get started I have to remove them, and I'm going to need this. It's a 15/16 socket, half inch on a ratchet, and that should be all I need. Obviously the jacks on my RV are up because it'd be hard to take the pads off. Let's get to it. So here you can see the jack pad. You can see that it's like a reverse mushroom. We actually had to clean some dirt off to even get to the bolt. I noticed another thing underneath here. These jack stands have slid. You can't quite see it up here. You can see it. See how that hole isn't even lined up anymore? So that's yet another project I'll have to do. Looks like it's this one that's crooked. The other one might be fine. So I'll probably have to loosen this. Maybe I'll add a third set of bolts to it. But anyway, we're going to get to the first part of this, which is just moving that bolt from the foot. Like I said, this is a 15/16. These are not monster tight. The other one is bent almost into the shape of a taco. I think part of this is just because it's been so wet lately in Tallahassee with the rain that even places where it didn't normally sink, now it's sinking. Alright, a little rainfall of stuff. And you can see the pads off, and there it is. And when you take the pad off, the bolt itself has this large rubber like gasket, and some of the older ones I've taken apart, they're O-rings, but it's this large rubber thing, and that kind of, and there's a, if you look right here, you'll see there's a little shoulder on that so that it doesn't get too tight, to allow this to kind of move a little bit, as you put it down. Pretty straightforward to see here that this one is still lined up. All the holes line up pretty well. So the other one is the one that's loose. There's an example of the amount of dirt that I have to pull off of this taco before I can work on it. A little dirt on the camera, who cares? Alright, let's see if I can do this one with my electric ratchet this time, just because I've got 4 of them to do and it takes me too long. Wrong way. I need to loosen. The nice thing about an electric ratchet is you can use it as a normal ratchet too. 2 down, 2 to go. Oh, the fronts are probably going to be a little harder for me. I get a better example. So this is the big bolt you're taking out. It's a fine thread. You can see it had Loctite on it from the red there. I'm assuming that's Loctite. And this is the what used to be an O-ring, but now it's a piece of rubber on a metal standoff. So no matter how tight you make this, it doesn't get too tight. And it goes together like that, so that this piece of steel goes through the plate. This piece of steel right here goes through the plate and allows it to swivel when it touches down. The front does this front. This is the driver's front. Seems to be fine. All the holes that don't have bolts in them are still lined up, and obviously the plate is still bent. It's not as bent as much because the front of the RV is lighter than the back. Back of this RV is very heavy. All right. So I'm gonna put you on the ground.
really have no idea what this looks like on camera until I'm done. Apologize if it's the most boring video ever. Oh, this is tight. Unfortunately, this is really tight. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I can get something to hold. See, the pad is loose. Can't hold the pad, and I can't really hold the end of the jack. Well, the problem is the shaft itself, the leg of the jack, is spinning. I'm going to have to put something on it, I guess. I really don't want to, though. I'm going to have to try an impact here. Alright, so I've got some leveling blocks. These are Lynx levelers from when I used to have a travel trailer. They work fine for motorhomes and stuff. They have plenty of capacity. Now, if you were doing this on the back wheels, you would want to have 2 sets of them because you want to support each wheel. I'll just drive up, that'll give me enough extra. And done in one try, so happy with that. That gives me enough extra room I can get the impact on there. Not going to see much. This impact is going to be in the way. Impact makes short work of it. This is the 3rd set of front jacks for this RV. It came with a set, obviously. Those broke off. Tiffin sent me new jacks. I replaced them. I put the video on. The fronts, they snapped off when they were extended. And then then there was a recall because they weren't the right jacks. They were too small for the amount of weight, which is probably why mine snapped off. While we're under here, obviously, every time you do this, you look around, you see things. And one of the things that I saw the last time I was down here is that the bump stop. See that metal cup right there that the light is shining on right behind the shock? That's where the bump stop's supposed to be. It's left the building. It's joined all this somewhere. I'm going to get the last one now. Oh, look. This wasn't the case last time, but now I'm missing this bump stop too. Well, at least Ford's consistent. Alright, that's done. Now to get some aggression out by straightening these things. So here's my setup for straightening out this taco. I've got a cinder block with a piece of, I think it's supposed to be 2-inch pressure treated wood. Had a hole in it. This is a jack pad off my old RV. This is it to make it longer. I'm just going to lay this on it and whack the crap out of it with a hammer. Trying to figure out how I'm going to video this. I'm going to have to use the kickstand and a bucket and hope nothing goes flying at anything. The camera, which also have. That's pretty good.
Put gloves and eye protection on, which you can't see. And then I have a 5 or 10 pound sledgehammer on a 3-foot handle, and I'm going to hit it like Gallagher. And I'll be doing this every time. It will always fall off. It's getting there. It's less taco shaped than it used to be. While I'm doing this, comment on yourselves about the tools that would be better to do this with. I'd say a hydraulic press if I had one. I wish I could do this without the wood. Or will that just break my cinder block? Mostly shattering the cinder block. It's getting flatter. These are about $50 a set to buy, a set of 2 to rebuy. So that's why I'm trying to save them. Probably the only video straightening this most crooked of them. That side got straight right there. That's almost there. Ooh. That is damn good. Not perfect, but it's damn good. Looks pretty flat. Whew. Here all 4 of them are. I apologize for the fan noise, but it's really hot, so until I start welding, I'm not turning the fans off. There's the 4. They've been washed off, pressure washed front and back, flattened as much as they could be. And then this is one of the 12 by 12 steel plates with a 2-inch hole. It's 1/4 inch steel. Bought it off of Amazon. They were like not Amazon, eBay. They were about $8 or $20 a piece. With shipping, the whole thing was under $100. It was like 90 something. And the goal is to place that like that, and then probably weld through these holes to attach it. And I'm going to drill some holes first in case I need to attach blocks to it, but I plan to not have to do that. But that's what we're doing. So I've drawn a circle where the plate will be, so that I know where to drill the holes for holding wood blocks. And I'm going to pre-drill the holes. I'm probably going to put wood blocks in the front, because the front is always where I run out of stroke when trying to level. And I will probably not do anything on the rear. Because I have liquid springs on the back of my RV, I can lower the back quite a bit. And I'll carry wood blocks in case I need to put them on. But I'm going to try to drill all 4 of these plates. So they're 1/4 inch. So that's a 1-inch plate, basically. I'm going to try to drill them with this new, it's a Vevor, which is a Chinese brand. This is what's called a mag drill. And I'm not using an annular core because I'm only drilling a little bit over a 1/4 inch hole. I'm going to initially drill a 1/4 inch hole, and then I'll go through and drill it with, I think, an F bit, which is just slightly bigger so that the bolts fit loosely. And I'm going to pre-drill all 4 of them so the holes are in the same place, so that when I drill some wood blocks, I'll have a nice template, and in case I choose to do it in the future for the backs. But I'll never need as thick a block on the back, even if I need a block. And just not sinking by having this much thicker plate than what that is will probably be more than enough to solve most of my problems. So I'm going to be laying out where I'm going to drill next. Using the T-square and the marker, I've got my first 2 spots for holes marked out. That one there and that one there. So when I'm done, I'll turn this around and do the other one. This welding table I have has a fence on it. I'm using a piece of angle
to hold these pieces of plate flat, and I just manually check the edge. And I'm probably going to put some clamps on here too. Let's get to it. So the way a mag drill works, if you haven't been lusting after one for a while like I have, is there's a large electromagnet, or on the older ones there may be a mechanical magnet, in the base that will hold it on the plate. With it off, it's quite easy to maneuver and line up to where you want it to go. Like that. And when you turn the magnet on, now it's stuck. Now it will not move. And I can turn the drill on and slowly drill. And I do mean slowly. If you've not drilled steel before like this, kind of thick steel, it's a process that takes time. You go slowly and you use a reasonable amount of oil so that you don't ruin your bit. This is loud. It started getting some chatter, and it seemed like my plates were falling apart. I'm going to add another clamp. Before I goof this all up. Almost through. You might ask yourself, why am I not just using another vice grip clamp? Well, I have one. I just don't know where it is. So there had been a gap between the plates over here. It's now gone. Back to noisy. So there had been a gap between these plates. You can see it's still back here, but it's gone from here. So I imagine that will stop the chattering, and it will drill now the rest of this hole without any issues. Back to noise. And we're through. That was really easy. I got to reposition everything now. Hold on. Everything's repositioned. Oops, I'm upside down. I'll let that out. Or not. Ugh, that's not seeing anything. I need to block the wood to raise the camera up. All right. I know light would be great, but this is what we got. A little oil. While you're watching this, let me give you something to think about. I'm not 100% certain that Dr. Dre is actually a physician. So as I'm drilling these, I am using just the lightest amount of pressure. It's really maybe double the weight of just my hand and arm laying on that. I'm not trying to push it. I'm letting the drill bite and do the work. I've learned that from a long line of messing up drill bits and generally being a not very good user of drills. Now I'm going to change over. I've got these first two holes drilled. I'm going to finish drill them before I switch this around. And the bit I'm going to use is an F bit. And why would I use an F bit? What is an F bit? Maybe we can call this segment What the F? So you're probably, sorry. probably familiar with fractional drill bits, quarters and things like that. So a 1/4 inch drill bit, here's my drill bit, drill index. You can find stuff like this on the internet. A 1/4 inch drill bit is, on this third row, 0.250 inches. That's the perfectly 1/4 inch size. A 1/4 inch bolt will not go into a 1/4 inch hole. And the recommendation for a loose fit is an F, which is a 0.257. You could use an E, which is exactly the same as a 1/4, so I don't know even why the E exists. Or you could use a G. I think a G is even just a little bit looser. It's a 0.261. So I'm going to use, I think, a G, not an F, and drill this hole. So maybe we should call this section, what, the G. I was afraid I was going to go to where the G drill was supposed to be and it was going to not be there. And the name of this segment would be, why is there nothing in the G spot? However, we're saved. We did have a G in the drill index. Okay, so we're relined up on our hole. You see, it actually goes in a little bit already. The magnet's on, drill's on, here comes the noise. My assistant did not get the truck key tightened up. Let's test this with a 1/4 inch drill, a 1/4 inch bolt, see what actually goes in. Or we'll do all this just to make that video. You need to judge. And the next roll there. Drops in like a champion. That's what you want. That's why you use fractional drill bits. I have a big index that I bought at Harbor Freight years ago. It was probably 60 or 70 bucks. I've wasted a number of the bits in it, but I still have a number of them good, and I'm very happy with the cheap drill index. And if one of the bits goes bad, usually because I did something bad, I just go ahead and go on to Fleabay or wherever and order another one. Now, with the, when the drill is, the magnet's turned off, it's very top heavy and easy to flip over. You need to be very careful with it. Pick it up, place it on the floor as you're moving things so it doesn't get hurt. I'm going to go ahead and clamp on the side I'm moving to. I'm leaving the bolt in. It'll help keep the plates aligned as I'm doing this. In between drilling, I came through with a old paintbrush and used that to remove the chips. It's kind of a, I wouldn't call that really a trick. It's just an easy way to clean up steel chips from drilling. The best thing to do is to bring them up as you go so you don't end up with a real mess. And I just sweep them off into a trash bucket that I have. I let them cool a little bit so I know they're not hot. Oh, I got a furry visitor. That's in the hole. I'm going to use 2 of these to keep this lined up. Just to make sure my plates are all... Oh, what am I thinking? I can't do this yet. I don't have the hole drilled. I'll have to use the 1/4 inch bit I drilled the holes with to line them up. To keep my plates lined up as I'm drilling this hole. Before I drill this hole, as I clamp. Now I can clamp this. I like to say I'm going to jet clamp it. Oh yeah, I know my jokes are horrible. If you're saying that, you can probably join my kids on the Dad's Jokes Are Terrible website. I'm kidding, I don't know that there's actually a website like that. Probably should be. And my kids would definitely be the king of having a dad with a bad dad jokes. I'll put a clamp on the back side here. Plates are raising up a little bit. Pull that out for now. There we go. All ready to bring the drill down. What's that? Get this lined up. Hole. Like I said, it starts to go in, so it's pretty easy to get lined up. Magnets on, back it off. Drill is on. You're probably thinking, why didn't you just drill it with that in the first place? 1/4-inch drill bits are cheap. I bought 2 of these for $8, and these are Bosch, Cobalt, guaranteed to drill a hole easy. And the F bits, or G bits, were like 10 or 15 bucks because they're just so rare. They make 1/4-inch drill bits by the billions. They don't make that many F drill bits. So it's just an economy thing. So I'm going to take the bolt, drop it through the hole, tie this off, place some force so it doesn't fall, bolts in. I'm going to take this back clamp off. Hi, baby. Come here, Juniper. We have a little furry dog joining us. Last 2 holes. I'm going to hold the drill. I'm going to hold the camera. Whoa! I did not put that in the tuck right. Alright, gonna have to fire my assistant for that. I did a lousy job getting it in the key, but we're good now. Well,
reposition for the final hole. Alright, 4 holes through 1-inch steel plate with 1 drill bit, and I didn't even have to swear once. Hey, maybe some kids can watch my YouTube now. Alright, I'm going to keep it in this position with the magnet on and switch bits so I can get the G-spot. It is really not even that warm. Alright, and do the other one. Off. On. By the way, when you turn the magnet is the main power. You turn that off, it also turns off the drill. Alright, hole drilling is done. I got to figure out how to adjust the tightness on this drill, because just with this simple drill head on it, it wants to go down on its own, and so I'd like it to be able to hold in place. I'm going to do a little cleanup, and like I said before, to clean up when doing metal work, I typically use a scrap paintbrush, old paintbrush. I use it like a broom and just sweep the metal chips off. Okay, I got to turn the magnet off. Sweep the metal chips off, and then sweep them into a pile that I can get with my, I'm going to put my bucket next to and sweep it onto. Metal seems to like to stick to drill bits too. Let's see here. So these are the bits I bought. Only had to use one and it's still good. Bosch 10X Life Cobalt M42 with M42. Wow, you know, you got to have it with M42. Fork crate, no skate tip. I can agree they didn't skate. I am now going to drill wood. I'm going to use the same bit. I'm going to do the same pre-drilling with quarter. So I've got the piece of wood under a plate. I've marked it. I've got to drill a big hole in the middle. I'll do that after. And I marked the 4 holes with a magic marker, but I'm not 100% sure how well that went. So I'm going to drill it just to be sure. There's easy to see where you drilled. Just kind of like little marks. And hopefully everything didn't move too much. Now for the drilling of the wood. I'm not going to do this up here on this metalworking table because sawdust and oil and all that stuff doesn't work well together. Oh, I'm going to drill onto the floor using some scrap wood underneath it. Getting so hot, it's I'm starting to not think as well as I used to. Happens when it's really hot like this. I'm looking for the hole saw that I need. Oh, goodness. I'm really close right now. I use an 1.5-inch hole saw, or not hole saw, it's actually a spade bit, I believe is what it's called, to drill the center hole. It should be fine for the socket that needs to go up in there. The right way to do this would be to check now. I'm going to drill. Alright, so now we're going to drill the wood. That's going to be the extra length on the bottom of these. Especially for the front, I need this because I often run out of stroke when leveling at campgrounds. First thing I'm going to do is draw the circle in the middle. Alright, and then I'm just going to take my drill, and I've already put a larger, it won't go through that. Okay, I'm going to have to mark the holes and then come back and drill. Oh, this marker goes through. Looks like it did there. It did there. Let me get a pencil because I'm not sure about my marker being on it. pencil led to having to sharpen the pencil. Alright, I should have my holes marked. I'm glad that didn't hit any toes. So my holes are marked. A little faint in some spots, but marked. First thing I'm going to do is use a spade bit to pre-drill this hole right here. I'm going to do all four of them, and this is going to allow the bolt head and washer to be recessed so that it's the wood that touches the ground and not the bolt head. I actually do not want to do this here. So I had to drop back and punt a little bit. My holes were not lining up with the steel plate, and for whatever reason, you know, I was trying to be precise, but I'm not, I guess, anywhere near precise enough. So what I'm going to do is take the steel plate, and again, it's only the fronts that I'm putting this piece of wood on. I'm going to take my plate, which is kind of heavy, figure out where it kind of lines up, and then drill the holes, or make the holes a little bigger if I have to get everything to fit. So like that one there, that one's pretty good. I'm going to just drop a bolt down there. Let's see what we can do with the others. If we can get any of them to line up. I can get that one to line up, looks like. However, these two aren't even close. Let's see. I mean, they're close, but they're not close enough. So we're just going to drill them. And what I have is a big, I'm going to take the 1/4-inch drill and just re-drill the hole through. Do it over here as well. Alright, now I should be reverse, not the camera. Should be able to take the bolt, put the big washer on it, and a nut and a small washer. And the nuts I'm using are nylon, the lock nuts with the nylon in them. So I put the bolt up through the bottom, put the washer on, put that on, take my hand impact, and voila. Just do that about 4 more times. two down, two to go. I might have to add a little hole. Ooh, it might be raining. That's bringing the temperature down. How nice. Currently, I just checked the weather. We are somewhere near the gates of hell as far as temperature goes. And I know it's not just us, it's pretty much a lot of America. I can't get the impact on it. It's on. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and work on that one. Means you probably won't see this very well. Wow, this is so far off from where I wanted it to be. Like it ended up in a whole nother planet. So I'll try to fix that. And so what I had to do is angle drill some of the holes so that everything met up. You can see some of these bolts are coming out at this one's coming out at an angle going that way. It'll be fine. Again, none of the heads exceed bass. So the next step here is I am going to weld the foot plate onto here. I'm going to use a technique called a rosette weld, which is kind of like a spot weld, but it's a little bit different. The spot welds are usually done with a machine that does the welds on both sides. And what I'm going to do is take the holes that this has in it, I'm going to drill them the next size bigger to clean the holes up so there will be no paint on them. And then I'm going to weld through the hole into the plate and fill it with weld, and that'll give me a good solid hole, a good solid hold on those. And the drill I'm going to use is a 21/64. I measured, and that's what it came out to be. I have a love-hate relationship with toolless chucks. Sometimes getting them tight, and worse yet, getting them loose again is painful. I just about burned myself, about killed myself trying to get the darn. So yeah, all I'm going to do is take my drill, go through this existing hole and clean it up. But I really can't record that. I don't have a way, so I'm going to pause. All right, and you can see that the holes are silver now, which means that they'll build to conduct electricity, which will help for welding, and means there's no paint on them or anything like that. And we're ready to go and get set up for welding. So that next step is I'll have this all set up and the welding stuff all set up, and we'll be ready to go forward. All right, and you can see I've got this set up for welding. I've got two clamps here holding it in place. I drew a circle around, and I'm going to probably use a hammer to adjust this position so it's in the middle of the circle. in that position impacts where this pad is in relation to the hole in this metal. There you go, move it over a little bit. And right now the only hole I can weld is this one. And I'm going to hold that one and then move a clamp over to here and weld that one. And then I can move over to here and here and weld those two. And the clamps are pushing this down and they're helping to get this flat again. My power is flickering. We just had a tiny bit of rain and a tiny bit of wind. So at any point in time now the power could go out based on our electric company. I have the best electric company money can buy. Off. Apparently. We got all the proper safety equipment. I even have real sneakers on today. I'm not welding in Crocs, which would be my normal thing. The welder's set for 5 on voltage and 35 on feed, which is what it says to do for this thickness of metal using 30 wire and pure CO2. So I'm basically going to go in here and just go around and make a nice puddle that adheres to the bottom metal and the top metal. So here goes. Oh, got a little bit more to hit. Lift the spot. There we go. And there. That's all welded. So yes, I'm welding using CO2, 100% CO2 instead of CO2 argon mixture. And I'm doing that because that way I can share this tank with my beer kegerator. And it still welds fine. It actually welds a little bit hotter so you can do a little bit thicker metal, supposedly. That one's not quite as pretty. Really not as pretty. I'm not going to show that one. Don't know what changed. So the welding and clamping is taking the final amount of warp out of these pieces of steel, the foot pads. But it is taking a lot of effort on my part to close the clamps. Might need a little bit more feed on my wire. Getting porosity that I didn't get before. Am I out of CO2? I am looking to be out of CO2. Oh no, I'm not out of CO2. I forgot to turn it on. Ha, that explains why everything looks completely different. Alright. Some CO2 flowing. Let's try this again. Show you with CO2, without CO2. Yeah, shielding gas is important.
Alright, I'm going to go over the tops of those. I can't do anything about the weld that's down in there. This is not super structural, so it'll be fine. I would like it to look prettier. Sounds completely different. Weld looks completely different. Alright. Turn this off. See my face right now, you can see that I just ran out of gas. Getting that clamp tight. Trying to get the clamp smooth so I can hold the last 4 spots in a row. Not have to keep moving. Oh, I think the camera moved on me too, so I'll have to fix that before I start here. So check that. You should be ready to go. That's pretty good. I have no idea what that sound was. Probably one of the welds breaking. Something's not right with that weld. That didn't sound right at all. It looks pretty, so I guess I'll take that. I usually run a handheld flashlight so that I can see my weld puddle, or see where I'm welding once I put the shade down. An auto darkening shade, but at my age, when it darkens enough that I can't see as well as I'd like to. One puddle left. Alright, that's all done. Let me show you what the final deal looks like. I have several more of these to do. Gloves off. Get my helmet off. holding helmet is relatively light, but still gives me a headache to wear it. Those are the two that were done without gas. So those will hold. You know, just 2 tugs on the strap and say that'll hold. But it's nice and flat down. So everything's good. Alright, so I'm getting ready to do the 2 that are just going on steel plates. These are for the rear. I've already put them in the vise and pre-drilled the holes bigger. The first thing I'm going to do is pull the piece of plate over. These plates are in decent condition. They do not have anything but mill scale on them, which is how they come out of the mill, steel mill. And there's no reason for me to really clean that off. It welds just fine. If it had a little rust or anything, paint or anything like that, I would have to take it off, but it doesn't. So to make sure I line everything up right, I just make a circle using a marker, which was misplaced, as usual. See it on the floor either. Find another one. Look, I have to find the one I had. I don't see it on the floor. A wrench and a pair of pliers fell inside my helmet. Oh, here it is. Just go around. You know, try to keep the pen straight so the circle's usable. And then you just try to kind of place it in the middle of your circle that you drew. Kind of like that. Now I'm going to clamp it. Just like I was Jed. I hope you never get tired of my jokes. My wife and children have. As I clamp it, I'm tapping it a little bit to get it centered. Once I get the first rosette weld done, then I can move the clamps around just like I did last time. Wood out. Might have to move the camera a little bit. I'll check it before I start welding. Putting the ground electrode up. There we go. I
do have a leather apron I wear sometimes. I'm not wearing it today just because I think the heat is a bigger factor for safety right now than a spark setting my shirt on fire because my shirt's soaked with sweat. And I think every welding school in the world would tell you should always wear long pants, and I would agree, but I almost never wear long pants. Even in the winter time, even when it's relatively cold, I don't. Just not a fan. Use a flashlight this time to light my life a little better. This helps me get started better. Well, not like a glove, but good enough for government work. This pad is actually pretty flat on this side. I'm not overly, I'm not being quite as slow as I was with the other side. There's a plastic coating on these jacks, especially on the rears. You can see it flaking right there. It's the undercoating that Tiffin sprays into the RV, and kind of stinks when it starts burning. The other ones just have some kind of paint on them, and I wouldn't say it smells good, but it doesn't. This stuff is bad, probably killing me. It's killing me softly. The best thing about wearing leather gloves when welding is you don't get pinched by the welding vice grips like you would normally. Take the helmet off. I cannot see what I'm doing. And nobody can see what I'm doing. Camera just moved. Just don't paint right here. Be done with it. Probably won't see much of these next welds because of the angle. I don't know what you're seeing anyway. Now you can see this hole. I never even saw the puddle the entire time. I saw welding, but I didn't see the puddle. Alright, pop the clamps off and get the last two spots. Probably touch a few of these up too. Make everything pretty. Why, I don't know. Nobody's gonna see it but me and you. Maybe I'm doing it for you. Oh, I could turn that off. Let's go higher speed. Filling some little holes I'm seeing. Ooh, that popped somewhere. Alright, let's see what that looks like now. So as hot as that got, and it got hot, there was no discoloration on the bottom. However, the foot is a lot thinner than this steel plate. So it's not like you're going to get massive penetration all the way through at least. But I'd say it's on there pretty well. Last time I did this, I put just added 12 by 12 by 1.5 inch wooden blocks to the bottom of the 6-inch feet on their own, and I did it with 3 screws and 3/4 inch screws, and that held on. So this has got to be at least as strong as that, if certainly not, certainly stronger in my mind. Underneath, I don't see daylight under my weld. We're going to call this piece good. We're going to move on to the last one. This piece of steel's got oil on it from drilling. I'm going to probably clean a little of that off. Just to avoid too big of a smoky, fiery thing. This one also already has my circle drawn on it. I don't have to do that. This pad. Looks pretty good. And this one looks so flat already. Raised a little over here. I think I can weld over there with just a simple clamp holding the metal together so it doesn't move. What I could probably do is a bolt through here with a big washer if I had thought this through and gotten the right hardware ahead of time, and that would hold it down. Sufficiently. Now let's try it without using any clamping on it. Last one. This is where I can screw everything up if I want to. I'm still going to have to clamp it at some point because it's not super flat all the way around. But for some of these it's fine right now. Check my gas, it's still flowing right. So since I don't have it clamped, I do want to hold it down with my hand at least. What I'm trying to do is I weld this, and I've watched a lot of welding videos, read books, is do circles and try to get the edges to melt together, not trying to just fill the hole with weld, because we're not just doing hole filling, we're trying to bond. We're going to flip it around, we're going to weld these other four, and we're going to use at least a clamp for it. At least one clamp. Because this is raising up right here. That one down, maybe get this other one tighter and really get it down.
this point, I've clamped it down to the table, so I'm not going to remove the other clamp. Okay. So these four will go easy like Sunday morning. Alright, it's done. Oh, I got holes. I got a couple holes to fill. That's really for cosmetics. The wheels are off, and the gas off, so the gas is taken away. Oh, getting a drink. This is what it looks like, the finished product. Let's see what the back side looks like. If I can get these clamps off. There's a little bit more. There's a little more heat showing on the back here, but really, it's not sufficient. It's not much. All right, I'm ready to bolt these guys up. Should I paint them? Maybe. A little Castrol Super Clean and a pressure washer. And we just need to wait for the sun to dry them off. That probably will take about 10 minutes. I put a few coats of paint on them yesterday, front and back. Left them sitting out in the sun on my trailer. They're currently too hot to cut, so I'm going to give them 45 minutes to cool down out here before I try to install them. It is really hot. I don't know what anybody's seeing. It's sitting on a piece of frame and it wants to fall over. And it's not going to stay there probably very well. But if you can see this I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on here because I want to get this in tight. I don't want to hammer it too hard with the impact wrench. Well, my 1.5-inch hole is just barely big enough for the bolt washer to go through. Unfortunately, this is a deep wall socket and the bolt is going way down into it. It's making this harder. If I got a shorter socket, this might be easier. Oh, fudge. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a shorter socket because this is not going to work. This one won't drop down as far. So hopefully that makes it easier for me to do this. So this is going to be spun around. Really use a second person for this job. Maybe I can do this without seeing it so well. It's one of those things, if I was designing it, it's likely would have a big nut on the bottom of it. He's a stud. I'm afraid to use the impact to spin it in there because there's no leader on the nut on the bolt, and it'll just, if it strips this, that's $1,000 mistake. Maybe you can heel it, coil it, but no matter what, that's just going to be not fun. Oh.
Just a note here, I lost some of the video due to my own mistakes, and also some of it had language that wasn't really appropriate. It was very difficult to hold that and get the nut and the socket, or get the bolt and the socket together and start turning it and all that stuff. What I ended up doing, which is not on the video, is using a 1/2-inch ratchet with a short socket instead of the deep well impact socket I had, and a 5-inch extension. And that way I could hold it up with my right hand using the head of the ratchet and with the bolt, and that would keep the bolt on the end of the socket and would keep the bolt popping out through the metal, through the foot plate. And then I could push that up and use my other hand to kind of hold it and then turn it. And once I saw it went in a thread or two, I could pull my hands off and then run it in with the ratchet or an impact or whatever it took. But I knew it wasn't cross-thread. So that's how I did it. You don't see it here, but just imagine the L shape of a ratchet with the socket on it. And it would probably help to take paper towel and stuff it down in the socket so that the nut, the bolt doesn't go all the way in, and that way you would get more thread sticking out, and that's less far you have to stick it up. The other thing I did, and you may see this in parts of the video, is I used some blocks of wood to block up one, to make to hold basically one side of the foot pad. So it was only holding the weight of about half of it. It is heavy. Having an assistant would have been useful, or having a jack that had a hole in it, or I could have used a jack to hold the plate up and then gone in from the hole and put that in, would have been useful too. I didn't have any of that, so I made do with what I had. So that's it. Thanks.
So this is what I've come up with. I piled blocks of wood there to hold one side of the plate, so I'm only having to hold half the weight. And then I get it started with a ratchet if I can. It worked on the passenger side, the right front, and do the left front. Don't have a way to videotape this, and this is going to involve swearing. Couldn't get any video putting it on because it required all my hands. I had no place to put the camera. But that's what it looks like. There's the bottom, there's the access to the bolt. This is the back jack where I'm just using a 3/4 inch or smaller piece of plywood just to protect the steel from rocks and stuff gouging it. The fronts were a little bit harder. One note, make sure you drill not an 1.5-inch hole but a 2-inch hole. It'll make the process easier. Now with the new jack pads installed and the jacks down, this is what we have. The front. And the rear. And if you look right there, see that hole? That's what the old pads made when they were bent in. When they were bent up, they just punched holes in things. I don't think these are ever going to bend quite like that.